Okay, so the purpose of this screencast is to help you learn how to create an online editable form from a regular worksheet. And in this case, I'm going to use this one. It's called strongpasswords.pdf. It's in PDF form, which makes things a little simpler to just start moving through this process. So I got to open that. It opens with Acrobat, which is what we want. And you can see there's fields here, but in order to fill these fields out right now, you have to print this form out and then, or this document out, worksheet, and fill it out by hand and then turn it in that way. So what we're trying to do is make it so that students can fill these out online and just submit them via email or through Edmodo or however you want to do that. So what we're going to do is we get our PDF and we go to Forms and we start the form wizard. Once you've created a form, you can add or edit the fields. You can send it out to people via email. So if your students are on an email list in your whatever email service you use, we should probably all be using, I think we're all going to be using Google soon, but or maybe we're going to stick with First Class, but either way, if you can create groups, you can create your class groups and then distribute it that way. And I don't think we're quite there yet with all that. At any rate, we're not doing any of that right now. We're just going to convert this into an online form. So we're going to start the wizard, and it asks, do you want to use the current document or look for one or scan it in? I want to use the current one. And then, so because it asked if I want to look for one or use the current one, it's just trying to make sure it knows which one it's doing. Make sure we know what we're doing. So basically what it does is it puts these, it looks for fields within your document, what it thinks are fields. Usually it's just identified by the line where data entry is done. And it puts a text box in there. So this is what it's done. This one it called undefined and undefined 2. And then this one it takes the last question or comment or sentence or whatever that it came up on and puts that in the field, which is the right thing to do. This one obviously has an extra word in it that we don't really want there. And none of these really matter because they show up as hints to the student, but if you had a long document with a lot of these, you might want to define them so that, like for example, to change this one to name and this one to date, so that you know what they are. And then if you double click on them, the tooltip is still called undefined. It's helpful for the user for the tooltip to actually be what you're asking them for, and you'll see that later when we finish the form and the user's using it, when I'm using it as a user. Wow. I kind of moved that a little bit. Control Z just undoes your last movement. So I'm trying to get this tooltip up again. I'm going to take this word out, and I'm also going to take that out of the tooltip and close. And you see there's other options there too. Do you want the form field visible or not? You've got different choices. I don't know, visible just works for our purposes. You can change the orientation of it, it's kind of interesting. And then there's all these other things you can look at and play with. This is just an overview, so I'm just going to skip all that and cut to the chase. It's a movie, a filmmaking term. So now the tooltip says exactly what we want them to put in there. And that's really all we need to do. Now we need to save this form. I mean, you can change these two to match whatever you want in the field, but nobody's really going to see this for anything. So, and if you wanted to, you could add a new field someplace. I don't know what for right now, but We need to save this document, otherwise none of these changes will take place. And I generally use, I usually call these like a digital form or an online form. You decide what you want to call them, but be consistent, whatever you decide to do, so that you'll always know. And if you're doing a search on your Mac, if you're looking for your online forms and you always call them online forms, that'll help you find the forms. So now this identifies it separate from the regular PDF. This identifies it as the online form, so that makes sense. And it's going in the same folder from whence it originally came. So that's that. And then to finish up, here's the one we just made and saved. I'm going to open it. And you can see that the data entry fields are highlighted. In order to get from one to the next, it just tabs through. You can set your tab layout the way you want it to go through the tabs. That's something I didn't go over, but it's possible to do. And so when the student opens this is what they're going to see. And what they would obviously do is put their name in here, whatever the date is. Geez, I was going to put that Mayan calendar end of the world thing, but maybe that's not funny. January 30th, because that's what I wish it was. And then see how that tabs down to the next field. But you'll also see that the tooltip, I can't get it to come up right now. There it is. It pops up so that you usually can see, what am I supposed to be putting here? And it does the same thing in every field that you corrected that in. Was it a safe choice? Why not? And so the student fills in their stuff. It kind of looks like what some students would do. And they do all that. And then here's the other tricky part. You need to tell your students how you want them to save these forms, and you should try to be consistent about it. My fan went on, so my computer's probably making more noise than you care to be listening to right now. But so what the student should do once they finish filling this form is they should save it. I'm going to put this on the desktop just so we know. And we know that it's the Strong Passwords online form that they're doing. I would have them do something like _ first initial and last name, and then that way when you get it through email or through your Edmodo, you know whose it is and who it should be associated with. And it'll just make things easier and keep things clear. So they should save it as that, and then and I've already done this a few times through my practice runs, so I'm going to just replace this. But then they would just email this as an attachment or submit it through Edmodo or whatever else other method you choose. And that's that. I hope that helps, and thanks for listening.